Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video, I'm sharing with you the top 5 books that I've read in 2018 so far. So since we are halfway through 2018, which is crazy, I still feel like I still in my mind feel like it's 2017, but we are not. We're closer to 2019 now, which is crazy to think. So these are kind of, when I was looking back through my bullet journal, I was like, these were the books that really stood out, the top 5. And so when I was kind of compiled them all together, a lot of them, there's 2 historical fiction and 2 murder mysteries and like 1 thriller. So you can kind of see how my reading was and like what kind of books I've been really gravitating towards this year. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to talk about this book first because I don't physically own a copy of it, so it's not in my pile, I'll probably forget about it. But it is The Baker's Secret, and this was a book my aunt lent me back in December for my birthday when I came home at Christmas. And so I picked it up in April, and it is a World War II historical fiction, but it takes place in the town of Normandy. So it kind of follows the events that took place leading up to it in this small town, and it follows a girl named Emma, who is the baker of the town, and she's kind of forced to cook so many loaves every day for the commandant. So she kind of finds a way to cheat the system and how she can make more loaves but also have some extra ones for the town. So she kind of becomes the middleman for the town and kind of keeps everyone going. So she's like, okay, if someone needs this, who can I trade with to get that? So she kind of follows her story there. I really like this book. My mom is currently reading it now and she really likes it too. I picked it up from the library for her, so she's been really liking that. But this was a really unique World War II historical fiction. I like how it focused on like a small town in France and what they had to do to adjust, and kind of it also was like a Normandy thing too, so that was really neat, and kind of seeing that. And there's so much heartbreak in here, but it was just a really gripping novel, and I haven't been really invested in a kind of World War II historical fiction like that in a really long time, so I was really happy about that. So next, this was one of the Tales and Teacups book club picks for earlier this month, and it was The House at Riverton by Kate Morton. And essentially this is like Downton Abbey in a sense. So it follows a girl who was a maid, or like a lady's maid for this very prominent family, and while she was there, there was a murder that took place, and she's kind of the only sole witness now. So kind of flash forward to present day, where this woman is very elderly. This filmmaker comes and she's like, oh, we're going to be doing a kind of a movie about the events that took place. And so while all this is going on, she's kind of reliving the past, and it very much was like Downton Abbey. So if you're a fan of Downton Abbey, this is very like a big this is like a good book to read if you're having some withdrawal from that, I think, because right around the time that I finished Downton Abbey, or when I was watching it, I read this. So I really enjoyed it, and it was really good. It had like that mystery aspect, and Kate Morton creates such vivid worlds, and like I can picture them perfectly. So I could picture all the characters, I could picture this kind of like mansion that these people lived in, and like manor and all that stuff, and I could just visualize everything. And this one was so good, it had me gripped on the edge of my seat. It's not my favorite Kate Morton book, but this was her first book, so it's nice to see how her writing has improved. So yeah, it was really good. So if you're looking for a Downton Abbey kind of esque book, then I highly recommend this one, or just anything by Kate Morton, because she is just an amazing author. So this is another Tales and Teacups book club pick, and it was Friction by Sandra Brown. And so this one follows Crawford, who was in court. When his wife died, he kind of fell off the edge, and so he gave the custody of his daughter to the grandparents. And so now that he has his life back on track, he is in court trying to get his daughter back. And so during the middle of a hearing, this masked gunman barges in and starts shooting, and leads to this whole thing, and so that leads to an investigation of itself, and like everything unfolds, and then he and the judge kind of work together because they realize that maybe there's more to this than what the police are putting on. So it was a very gripping read, and Sandra Brown has a way of making each chapter end on a cliffhanger where I kept wanting to read, and I was like really intense, and I was like, I need to know what happens. And like I had such a visceral reaction reading this, and it was a lot of fun, and it was I don't know, it was a really good ride. And so when I look back at reading this, I just think, oh my goodness, that was such a thrill reading. So this one was a really good thriller, and it's really kind of gotten me into Sandra Brown books, so definitely will be reading more of hers in the future. This is the third one I've read, and she's like every time has like been amazing, so highly recommend this author. So next would have to be kind of a medical thrillery one, and it was Gravity by Tess Gerritsen. I mentioned this one in I was reading one of these during one of my reading vlogs, and I'll find that up in the cards. You'll find that up in the cards and down below. But basically this follows a doctor named Emma Watson, which I thought was funny, who is sent up on the International Space Station, and when she's there, there's kind of viral outbreaks takes place, and these people start dying. No one knows how to treat it, so down on Earth her estranged husband is trying to figure out how to cure it, and this combines two of my greatest fears, which is space travel and kind of viral outbreaks that no one knows how to treat. So this one had such a visceral reaction for me. Again, my heart was racing. There were points in here where I had to stop reading because I was getting so worked up from reading it. So it was a great thrill. She does a good job of kind of integrating the medical terminology and describing it so that anyone can read it, which is also very good as well. So I really enjoyed this book. It was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it. It was just an amazing medical thriller with kind of a unique spin to it. And lastly, this is a book that I ended up reading kind of towards the end of June, and it was My Sister's Grave by Robert Dugoni, and this is one that's been on my shelf for years now, and so I finally picked it up, and it did not disappoint. It follows a woman named Tracy who 20 years ago her sister disappeared and was never found again, and during the trial that took place, this man was convicted, but Tracy doesn't believe that he was the actual killer. So kind of she spent her entire basically life. She became a homicide detective, but she's focused all her time on kind of compiling evidence, kind of showing that this was not the man who killed her sister. So when her sister's grave finally gets uncovered, it kind of sets things into motion, and there's kind of some small town things happening in here, and it was just so good. I haven't really read like a murder mystery like this in a while now, so, and it's the first book in a series, which I didn't know, which was really excited, so I have a new kind of series to look forward to. But this one was really fun. The author did a really good job of interweaving flashbacks into kind of present day things, which I thought was a lot of fun, and just kind of getting to know this character. I feel like because of her background, she's really unique, and so I can't wait to see what the future books have in store. I did feel some disconnect from her, but I'm sure we'll get to know more and more about her as the series progresses. But this was just a lot of fun and an excellent first book into the series, and it was just a lot of fun. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what are some of your favorite books that you've read so far this year and all that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.